What's happening, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the different marketing techniques that you can use when it comes to off-market acquisitions. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Jeremy Beland. I am an expert in off-market acquisitions. I've successfully closed well over 425 off-market deals and have grown multiple seven-figure markets and generated almost 8 figures. Mind-blowing, 8 figures in gross revenue profits since I started my business in only 2017. In this video, guys, I am going to talk about different marketing techniques. I'm going to probably be looking down because I have my little cheat sheet here because there's so many different marketing techniques that you can use in your off-market acquisition business. Now, you can focus on one, which I'm going to talk about in a second, or you can focus on many. And some have lower costs, some have higher costs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. What I would say is if you're relatively new, regardless of the money that you have available to spend on marketing, I strongly recommend focusing on one marketing channel and using that one marketing channel until you are a rock star in that marketing channel. Once you have become a rock star in that marketing channel and you are just crushing it, whatever that marketing channel is, then you want to add a secondary marketing channel. And same thing applies here. Now you're rocking it in one marketing channel, you get really good at the second marketing channel, you add a third. What happens is, some people in this industry will get some money really fast because they start having some success, and they're like, I got to generate leads here, I got to generate leads there, I got to generate, right? And you can very easily become a jack of all marketing trades and a master of none, which will then really kind of hurt your bottom line because you're going to be overspending for marketing, overspending for leads, but not really converting those leads properly to revenue, especially if you don't have a great follow-up system in place. And all marketing channels are definitely not created equal, right? Some have less motivation, some have great motivation. Some have really low costs, some have really high costs. Some require a lot of time, some require a little bit of time. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. All right, I'm going to kind of go through all of these on this list. There's probably more here that I don't know about because it's constantly changing all the time and there's new ones, but we'll start with some really basic ones that are easy. All right, and we'll talk about a little bit about each one. All right, so the first one is door knocking. Just good old-fashioned door knocking, right? Just go to the house and, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm Jeremy. I'm a local home buyer. I just happen to be in the neighborhood. I'm looking to buy a house in this neighborhood. Would you happen to know anybody that would be looking to sell a house in this neighborhood? You don't even have to tell them your house. I like to say, do they know of anybody's house? Because they may say, yeah, mine. But if you go in and say, hey, I'm looking at, would you be interested in selling your house? They're going to be like, who the heck are you? Get away from here. I ain't selling you shit. I like to talk about other people's houses in the neighborhood. This will allow them to feel less defensive about you approaching them at their house since a stranger is knocking on the door, and a lot of us don't really like that. Do you like people knocking at your door trying to sell you stuff? So keep that in mind. But door knocking, man, it's about as free as it gets, right? You're just driving around, you see a house, you just knock on the door. Hard part is, it's not really scalable. How many houses can you really do on a monthly basis by closing door knocking, right? How many houses a day would you need to door knock in order to get one sale per month? That'd be a freaking ton. A lot of gas, a lot of time, a lot of effort. When you're getting into this industry and you don't have any money or have zero money and this is the only thing you can do, this is a great hustle way to start your business. You know, it may take you weeks, it may take you months of consistently knocking on doors, but there's a deal out there, and that one deal can generate $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 or more $1,000, right? From one door knock because you've been knocking on doors for a couple months now. And then once you get that $20,000 assignment fee, now you can spend it for other marketing channels that are less involved with you basically going around spending all this time. But that is a way for you to generate leads, door knocking. Realtors, I actually just did a video on this. You could probably see it on this YouTube channel about building relationships with realtors. Realtors are out and about all the time, finding properties for them to list or bring their clients who are buyers to properties that they need to buy, right? So you get your buying agents and your listing agents. They're out there all over the place all the time. They come across these houses that don't fit the criteria of a traditional listing or one that their buyers, right? Their clients would want to buy because these houses need a lot of work, they're distressed, or whatever the situation is. So you can build a relationship with realtors in your local market and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, I am a local home buyer. I know you come across houses all the time. Now, I'm looking for a very unique type of house, the type of house that you typically would not want to do business with, right? It's a hoarder situation. House needs distress. It maybe needs a very specific closed timeline, whether that's one that's further out or a super short one. I could be that person that can buy that house from you. And now you, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, can now make money on a property that you would never ever make money on. So rather than just going next and on to the next one, you can say, whoa, 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 I know a guy. I'm that guy. I know a guy. Jeremy, the local home buyer, loves these houses. Hey, realtor, you can double end your commissions. You can represent the seller as the listing agent, and I can be represented as the buying agent, right, from you. And then you can double end your commissions on both sides. And now you're making double the commissions you would do on a house, and you're doing it on a house you would never ever sell. I'm your go-to guy for that. And I'll make it super easy, super simple, super fast. You won't have to do anything other than to connect me with the seller. I'll handle all their needs. You don't have to do a thing. And we'll get to the closing table. I'll get you paid. All I want you to do is keep bringing me more. All right? Realtors, relatively low cost, if any cost. You just need to go out and spend time finding these realtors. Check my other YouTube video where I deep dive this a little bit better. But build relationships with realtors. They can bring you leads. So that's another one. Texting. Now, texting used to be awesome in this industry. I wish I could say it was today, but it really it's a dying marketing channel. Unfortunately, with all the new regulations that have happened in this country, all the spam controls and everything else, you got to be very careful. For now, with the do not contact, with texting, you can actually be fined for sending unsolicited texts. So you have to be careful with that unless it's somebody that you've had like a previous conversation or relationship with. So that makes it really tough. Back in the day in like 2019, we were crushing it with texting. We were sending out 500-600 texts a day, and we were getting like 11-to-1 return on our marketing costs. Means for every dollar I spent, I made 11 in 2019. 2023, I was lucky to make a little bit more than $1 for that every dollar I spend. So it's really gone down. We don't actually even do texting anymore in our companies. The only thing we do texting with is for follow-up and follow-up only. So you can still do texting. A lot of people still doing texting out there. It's getting a lot more complicated. You're very limited to like 50 texts a day. They have so many different words you can't do. Some of the companies like Launch Control, some of the Lead Sherper, and some other ones may even start going out of business. By the time you hear this, they may even be out of business. I feel bad for them. It's really tough. So not to say that you can't text. You can text. It's obviously a low cost, but it's getting more and more complicated to successfully text enough numbers to be successful in this industry, right? So if I was doing 500-600 texts a day and you're limited to 50 a day, right? It's going to take you a whole week, right? More than a week, 10 days, a week and a half to do what I was doing in a day. So, if it's going to do, 500 texts a day, brings me one deal, right? A month, it's going to take you probably close to 3 months of texting to get that one deal. So low cost, all you got to do is pull a list, skip trace it, text it. I definitely like it as if you're just getting started, like with our coaching students, we say, we like our coaching students to do mailing initially, but we like them to cold call and text these lists after they've been scraped through the do not contact list. As a way to try to hit them from multiple angles, because sometimes that's what it takes. But texting is was a great marketing channel, is unfortunately leaving. People love it because you can do it from anywhere and it's low cost. And anybody with a cell phone, and let's face it, everybody has a cell phone, could all of a sudden be a wholesaler. Unfortunately for those people, it's going to get a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult, and I wouldn't count on texting being a marketing channel in the future. Another great hustler type marketing channel is cold calling. Everybody loves it, right? Driving for dollars, cold calling. Low cost, again, low cost, but you can, hustle your way to make money in this industry. Now, I will say that I've only seen a handful of people successfully cold call themselves and do deals consistently long term with great success. It definitely burns you out. It's hard. It's a grind, but it's low cost. So if you can go into it knowing that I need to grind, maybe for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, right? Consistently banging out hours of cold calling every single day. So I used to do it back to my business sales job for years. I was cold call business to business all day, every day. That's how I generated leads. It's not a lot of fun. It's a grind, but you could be very successful doing it. You just need to understand that although it's relatively cheap, almost free, right? And it's kind of cool to be banging out the phones. It is not easy, and you need to be mentally prepared for a lot of no's, a lot of hang-ups, a lot of boring, not getting in touch with anybody, and you're just kind of doing this every day, day after day after day. Now, realistically, if you're just getting started, it's probably going to take you with a triple dialer, and a triple dialer like a Mojo dialer and some other ones where they basically have 3 phone lines going out at once. First one that answers gets picked up. You're just sitting there waiting while the things make all the calls. On a triple dialer, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 hours a day blasting through a list, 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, okay? And it's probably going to take you close to 2 months on average to get one deal. That's how many calls you have to make. So understand that if you start calling and after a couple weeks you don't have a deal yet, that's pretty common. That's normal. After 5-6 weeks you still don't have a deal yet, that's still pretty common. Now you may get lucky and hit some right off the get-go. I hope you do. But on average, it's going to take you probably about 8 weeks or 60 days of 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week to successfully get a deal under contract that's going to close and generate revenue. So keep in mind that you're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes. It's a numbers game. You have to grind it out. A lot of people burn out, lose motivation. You have to know that if you really want to do this, that's what you're in store for. That's what it's going to take for you to get deals done. And after you get that first deal, it's still probably going to take you another 2 months, another 8 weeks to get your second deal. So you're talking 4 months. 4 months of 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week to generate 2 deals. Now, if those 2 deals are $40,000 in 4 months and you're on pace to make over $100,000, well, yeah, it's totally worth it, right? It's a lot better than grinding it out at whatever job you have for 8 hours a day to make half that or a third that or a quarter that, right? So you got to keep that in mind too. But cold calling is not glamorous. It's boring. It's tedious. It will wear you down. So if you go into it with the right mentality, you freaking make bank. If you don't, you're never going to survive. All right, cold calling. Ringless voicemails. Love ringless voicemails. Like texting, like cold calling, they do apply to the new DNC rules. So you want to make sure that any list that you pull, you're scraping it through the do not contact list. You don't want to get fined. This is another way you could get fined. But if it qualifies, ringless voicemails are great. They're very low cost. You can send out a ton every day. It's just a matter of your bandwidth of handling the responses. What is a ringless voicemail? It's what it sounds like. It's a voicemail that somebody gets on their phone with no ring. So you can send out 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 ringless voicemails, pre-recorded voicemails every single day to these lists. So all of a sudden they pick up their cell phone and they're like, oh, I got a voicemail. I never even heard my phone ring. And it's, hey, this is Jeremy, the local home buyer. I'm looking to buy a property in your area, blah, 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 right? And you send out enough of those, again, a numbers game, because that's what we do here in off-market acquisitions. It's all about the numbers. We got to generate and go through a lot of properties before we find those yeses. We're like looking for those little yeses in the haystack, right? When we do this outbound marketing stuff, ringless voicemails are great, really low cost. You can do high volume, not a lot of regulations on them yet. There probably will be in coming years, but right now it's a great opportunity to take advantage of it. We don't do a ton of outbound in our businesses, but we love them as a follow-up campaign in our cold lead database, right? Because we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So this allows us to stay on everybody on a monthly basis. We get deals from ringless voicemail. I love it. I recommend you should do it. Great low entry cost of doing marketing. It's just a matter of when these people reply, you need to be on the other end starting to handle all these phone calls. So if you do too many, you'll get inundated by responses and you won't be able to properly nurture all the responses. Again, there's a lot of no's in there, but you don't want to miss the yes because you're dealing with too many no's. So keep that in mind. Mailing. Love mailing. Mailing is great. It's antiquated. It's old. It's boring. It's costs money. There's nothing glamorous about it, but we call it the Steady Eddie, just like our senior acquisition guy, Mr. Steady Eddie. But yeah, it's just steady. You know, in our New Hampshire market, in the last 5 years, it's been one of our top 3 producers is consistently for marketing. So it's not going to make a ton of money. You know, you're not going to get these great, 11-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1 returns. You may, but typically you don't. You're probably looking at like a 3-to-1, maybe a 4-to-1 if things will go really, really well with it, and you have a really good team. You're really good at handling your lead conversion and everything else. But I like mailing. Mailing's great. That's why we recommend it to all of our students when they come in. I know it's hard when sometimes students come in, they don't have a lot of money, but this is how I made my money in this business to start with. I made it off my first deal, my $5,000 right here sitting in this framed check, right, was from a mail piece. Little white handwritten postcard, as generic and basic as you could be. It was like 50 cents mailed out, but it got me $5,000. Matter of fact, that whole year, my 10 deals and $70-something thousand I did my first year in 2017, all done off mailings. So mailings work. They're great. You have to send out, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 a week to generate enough leads to get deals. But they're out there. And this is one of those marketing channels I like when you're first brand new. And then you supplement it with some additional cold calling, texting, or ringless voicemail. Try to hit them from different angles, a more of a proactive approach. But this is a really good way, especially if you're working a full-time job. Mailing, you kind of just make sure it's automated to go out every single week. And then you just handle the phone calls when they come in. And it's not like phone calls come in all day as much as we want them. You only get a few days a week, you get a bunch of calls, and they kind of trickle out the rest of the week. So you can weave in handling these phone calls in and out of your daily life while working a full-time job. And it's a good way to get started and build a wholesaling or off-market acquisition lead funnel or business while working a full-time job. Mailing's great. You don't have to get super fancy with it. All mailings work. Obviously, some are better than others. All lists work. Obviously, some are better than others. Just kind of experiment with it. But you could get them done for as little as 50 cents to, $1 from companies. I mean, you can do your own handwritten ones, probably cheaper, but they would just require a lot more time. But mailings are pretty successful in marketing. Geofencing. Well, geofence is a weird one. So I'll try to explain this the best I can, but I am not a geofence expert. We do not use it. Geofence is basically these companies that do some kind of invisible thing, like a visible, I don't even know how to describe it, like a visible bubble around certain places, like a mall, a Walmart, a grocery store, right? So anybody that goes into these stores will now get tagged by the geofence. And if they have a streaming device like their cell phone, anytime they pull up some kind of streaming service, your ad may pop up. It could be like, they're looking at a news article and your ad pops up. They could be scrolling something and something comes up. I don't think it happens on social media, but geofencing, I would say if this is something that you're interested in, do a little more research. I am not an expert in geofencing. I know a little bit about it. I would say that it is a good, tool to have on addition to many of these other ones. If you're doing like many marketing channels, would not recommend this for anybody who's relatively new. There's a lot of better ones out there. But if you have a team of people and you're doing high volume deals, like 5+ deals a month, geofencing could be another way to generate some leads for you. All right, good old-fashioned bandit signs. Oh my goodness, yard signs, bandit signs. Now, bandit signs and yard signs are not legal most places. So be careful and check your local laws to see if you can put them out there. However, they are out there and they still work to some extent. I stopped using them years ago because I was spending more time, more money to do bandit signs than it was really worth. But with that being said, the ROI wasn't actually that bad, but we had to put out bandit signs about once every 2 weeks all year round to get about 1 or 2 deals. So, again, very low cost. You can do it yourself. It will generate leads. Some areas work better than others with this. It is kind of antiquated. A lot of people are kind of numbed by them. But if you do them in the right spot and you're able to get them out there enough, they do generate leads. It's a great hustle way to do it. I don't think it's a very scalable and consistent way to bring deals. So if you're getting started, I like it. But once you get to a point where you want to start doing deals regularly, this should be a second, third, or fourth marketing channel, not a primary one. And honestly, I would tell you, if you're starting to make money in this business, there's other marketing channels that work better than this. But bandit signs work. You can still use them, low cost. You just got to go out and spend some time doing it. Billboards. Yes, the big old billboards on the side of the roads. You'll see realtors, and if you're in Florida, you see all kinds of attorneys on them, right? Those work too. I have not personally used them, but I know a lot of people that have, and you can actually rent out from companies multiple different kinds and just test them out how they do. I would not make it a primary marketing channel, but I think it's a good additional marketing channel if you have multiple marketing channels in your area. You're just driving down the highway and you just see someone who says, need to sell your home fast? Call this number. That number is me, or that number is you, right? Those work. Not a super expensive marketing channel. Again, I don't know how consistent it is. That would be my only concern. I haven't tested it personally. I know the other investors that I work with that have done it, had some success with it, but I will tell you that a lot of them don't do it anymore. So take that for what it's worth. All right, SEO. Now we're getting into more the billboards, SEO. These are starting to become more motivated, right? These are more incoming leads. So the outgoing leads are the ringless voicemails, the door knocks, the realtors, the cold calling, the mailing, right? Those are people that we're going to find. So there's not a lot of motivation there. We have to dig and dig and dig to find all the motivation. But we start getting into the incoming leads. This is where high motivation comes in. Now, I will tell you that these leads, the incoming leads, cost a lot more money per lead than an outgoing marketing channel would, right? So incoming costs more, but is higher motivation. Outgoing costs less, but is lower motivation. You're going to have to do more numbers, more calls, more everything when it goes to outgoing. You'll have to do less of everything, including spending time with incoming, but you will have to spend more money. So I like incoming lead flow for experienced wholesalers or off-market acquisition specialists. I don't like it if you're brand new. I would not recommend to build incoming marketing channels, Facebook ads, which we'll talk about, PPC, any of those, billboards, radio, TV, which we're going to talk about. Don't do those. Those are more for experienced people because you're not good enough yet. Sorry, you're just not. It takes years to get really good at the sales side of this. You're not good enough, and you're going to spend a lot of money to make money in this business, where if you just spend a lot of time and effort and hustle learning how to get good in this business, the outgoing marketing channels are lower cost per lead. If you screw them up, it's not going to hurt your wallet as much as the higher incoming leads are. So SEO, search engine optimization. When somebody types into Google, Bing, or some other search engine on the internet, says, I want to sell my house fast, cash, wherever, whoever comes up ranked is highly ranked in SEO. We're up in New Hampshire, we're ranked really high on almost every keyword imaginable because we've been working at it for like 7 years. Now, SEO is expensive. expensive because it takes a ton of time. Now you can do it yourself. I do not know how to do it myself, but some people here can do it themselves. Listen to this. We've paid a company, right? And there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with backlinks and blogs and keywords and checking keywords and a lot of stuff that I don't want to know. I'm an expert at acquiring off-market deals. I don't want to be an expert at SEO because being an expert at SEO prevents me from being an expert at acquiring deals. That's where I make my money. So with SEO though, it does work. And a matter of fact, it's been one of our top three marketing channels for the last 6 years in our New Hampshire, New England market. But it takes a long time to get highly ranked. You have to be in it for a long game. We've invested a lot of money to be highly ranked and a lot of time. We didn't see a lot of results from it for the first couple of years. It takes time, especially in some of your markets. You could be really, really low and you have to wait a long time, spend a lot of money, do a lot of things before you can start ranking some of the people that have been there a long time. I love SEO, but it is a long game. So keep that in mind. If that's something you want to do, it's not anything that's going to happen right away. It could take years. I'm talking years before you start to get deals from it consistently. But the great thing is, if you can be in it for that long and you get to a point where you've been in it for years, you start to rank high, it will consistently bring you deals and really good deals. Pay per lead, PPL. So there's a lot of companies out there that actually have these SEOs that have been at a really ranked high nationally. They've done it for years. They rank really high nationally. That's their niche. And what they do is they get these leads and then they bid them out to people like you and I who wants this lead. And then you can buy leads that way. They're somewhat motivated. You won't get a ton of leads. I mean, I guess it just depends how much money you want to spend. It is a pretty high cost per lead, depending on your market. Up here in New England, I've seen it get to $600-$700, which is not uncommon. They're not all created equal. Definitely do some research and get some feedback. But those are marketing channels you can do pay per leads. Now, our experiences with them, they're very inconsistent. They've been great from an ROI perspective, but we'll have some good deals come in for a couple months, and then we go a couple months without anything. Then we have a couple deals that come in a couple months. So it's very much like this, but at the end of the year, as an additional marketing channel, it performs very well for us. But there's going to be a lot of ones that you get that aren't good ones. They're like listings, mobile homes, whatever the criteria are that you have to dispute. Now, they're really good at paying you back for leads that aren't really real leads, that aren't good leads. But there's like a little bit of a process there. But pay per lead is definitely a more motivated lead that comes in and is a great way for you to use SEO during the time when you're maybe building out your SEO. So keep that in mind. My favorite, though, is this next one, and that's PPC, pay per click, right? So when you type in, I need to sell my home fast, like you do for the search engine optimization, right? You have the ones that come in, but you also have the paid ads on the top. That's Google pay per ad or Bing pay per click. Love those. Those have been our number one marketing channel for over 5 years. Downfall is they're wicked expensive. Up here in New England, they could be $500, $600, $700. It's very, very expensive. And around Christmas, the season, right, of October, November, December, when a lot of advertisers do that, Google and other companies really raise the price of those leads, and those ads can get really, really expensive. So you may be at like $300, $400 all year, all of a sudden double around the holidays. And on top of that, your volume of leads that come in go down. So it can be very consistent, but it has its cons as well. But overall, the pros strongly outweigh the cons. Again, this is not a marketing channel for somebody who's novice. This is a marketing channel for people that have a well-oiled machine, a well-tuned machine. They have good acquisition people. They have great training in place. They have a good lead, incoming lead process. You are highly successful converting deals all the time. These are great because they're wicked motivated, right? And that is awesome. It's not uncommon for you to get one deal out of every 10 to 12 leads, maybe less depending how good you are, right? And they usually close right away. There's not a long nurturing process on these. But again, if you don't do it right and they're pay per click a few people, right? You could be paying $500, $600, $700 for this lead, go on an appointment, and find out you're there with 3 or 4 other competitors and don't get it. That happens 3 or 4 times. You're now spending a few $1,000s on a deal that you never even got. So keep that in mind. So love PPC, definitely an advanced marketing channel, one of the best in my opinion. But it's not perfect, but it's freaking awesome. Facebook ads right there with PPC can get costly. Facebook ads can be consistent, but they also can be consistently inconsistent. Facebook at times works really well, and other times it doesn't. I'm not an expert in, again, placing these ads, but I do think they work. Again, it's a costly ad, lead costs. So like PPC, like SEO, pay-per-lead, I like these for people that are more experienced. I would not recommend somebody newer in this industry to be doing Facebook leads. It's not to say that you can't, but they cost a lot of money. But as you get better, love Facebook leads as a additional marketing channel. But they do have times when they don't work really well. They used to work a lot better back in the day. I don't think they work and perform as well today. But still, a great marketing channel for sure. Radio. Yes, radio. I don't know who listens to the radio anymore. Everybody streams everything. But radio ads. A lot of people still actually do listen to the radio. And you can just call a radio company and negotiate an ad to be done every day or a few times a day during certain times. And they can say, hey, I'm Jeremy, the local home buyer. If you're looking to sell your house as is, you need a quick close, or you don't want to make any more repairs, you don't want to have a any kind of contingency, I'm your guy. I'm looking for houses all around, right? Whatever the ad is, right? Those ads play all the time. People that call those ads are people who are pretty motivated to sell their house, right? So that is a great source. But radio ads aren't cheap, and you're going to have to spend a pretty penny every single month. But great way to generate revenue. I would not make this a primary marketing channel, but I love it as an additional marketing channel as you continue to grow, especially if you have a team. If you're a solopreneur and you got mailing out and maybe PPC, and you want to add a third, this would be a great third to add to that. Radio does work. There's some people making bank off radio, especially in certain markets. It definitely performs very well. In other markets, it doesn't perform very well. So gotta just do your KPIs, which we'll talk about in a second, to really determine which works best for you. And then TV, another one, TV ads, right? So you can do it through traditional old-fashioned TV, like cable TV, or you can do streaming TV like we do in our New Hampshire market. So, you go and record a commercial, and then that commercial plays, and those people watching TV during the day or at night see your ad, they call you. Or if they're streaming from a device and those commercials come up, they call you. TV works well. It costs a freaking ton of money, but it works well. And as long as you don't mind your face being on everybody's TV, it could definitely generate a lot of great deals for you. With that being said, I would just make sure that you understand, again, highly motivated leads. Lead conversion here is pretty good. Cost per lead is very high. Make sure you are a seasoned acquisition person before you start to get into this kind of marketing costs to generate revenue, because it is not cheap, but it will bring in some deals. So TV. And then outside of that, there's some other ways like Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, for sale by owner. I don't love those. When you're getting started in the beginning, these are ways for you to find deals with little to no money. But let me tell you something. If it's for sale by owner on Zillow or Facebook Marketplace, you and everybody else, including all your cash buyers, are seeing these too. And if they're not making offers on it, it's probably because it's not a great deal. However, it doesn't mean that it should stop you from at least trying, because you may have better negotiation skills, be able to bring better value. You may be a better expert at talking to these people and be able to get it at a low enough price where then you can then turn around and sell it to one of your cash buyers. But this is not a marketing channel. These aren't marketing channels that I feel are very consistent. So you're going to hustle to get some onesie twosies there. Great for when you're starting out, you don't have any money. But if you start to generate revenue, I would not do this process at all. You need to start automating your marketing so you can have consistent leads and consistent deal closings. This would not do that. So that was a lot. That's a lot, right? There's a ton of marketing channels. They're not all created equal. And the best way to check their performance is through KPIs, key performance indicators. You need to be tracking all your marketing channels with really good KPIs. How much is the marketing spend every month? How many leads is it generating? How many people have you talked to on those leads? How many leads are turning into appointments? How many appointments are turning into contracts? How many contracts are actually getting closed? How much revenue per each closing, right? You need to know all of that. How many offers you're sending out, all that. Keep track of everything. And then what I would recommend is after, it's going to take you roughly about 90 days to know if a marketing channel is working. Okay? If you do it for 30 days, 45 days, you don't see a lot of results, it's not enough time. You're going to need a minimum of 90 days to truly evaluate if a marketing channel is working. After 90 days, it should give you enough of a picture to say, well, I'm spending a lot of money, it's not really producing a lot of money. Or I'm not spending a lot of money and it's producing a lot of money, right? And then you can either double down on that great marketing channel, spend more and get better at it, right? Before you add a secondary one, or you can pull away from it and try something else. Monitor your KPIs, they tell you everything. With that being said, there are some marketing channels in here like ringless voicemail, cold calling, mailing, probably TV ads, right? These may take 6 to 9 months before you really can truly determine if the ROI is working on these marketing channels. So when you're cold calling for 3 months, you may not see the picture yet. 6 months, you may be able to, or 9 months, right? And mailing, because there's such a lag effect, because it's an outgoing, approach out to cold leads and you're sifting. A lot of these people you have to nurture. So the first 3 months, you may not get many deals. But those people that you talk to in months 1 through 3 may not close to months 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all of a sudden you look at it 9 months, you're like, man, freaking mailing's kicking ass. Look at it month 3, you're like, this thing sucks. Month 6, it may be like, it's okay, right? So just keep that in mind. KPIs are what's going to determine. You got to play the long game. It's hard. It's not easy. There's no magic marketing channel out there. There's no perfect marketing channel. They all have their pros and cons. Test them all. Test them again. Test them frequently and keep retesting them and stick with the ones that work. And the ones that work, you want to spend as much money as you can to the point of diminishing returns depending on your bandwidth to handle leads. Now, don't spend so much money on marketing that you can't handle leads. But other than that, you should be good to go. Wow, what a long video. Holy smokes. There was so much to talk about with marketing channels. Well, I hope you found that very informative. Listen, guys, if you need to get better at off-market acquisitions, I'm your guy. If you want to be an expert like me at acquiring off-market deals, well, then I strongly recommend you click the link below. Listen, guys, it is a sales funnel. It's meant to sell you something. I am a coach, and I can teach you how to do great things. But that coaching program isn't for everybody. And if it's not for you, that's totally cool. But if you'd love to learn more, click the link. If you don't, no worries. What I would say is, if you found this video informative, because I am putting a lot of work and time and effort to give you guys value, whether you click on the link or not, well, then I strongly ask you nicely, do me a solid, man. Click like, click subscribe, let this video reach more people so you can pay this forward because you got good info, good value out of this video, so others can as well. That's it, guys. See you soon.